Hey everybody, my next guest is he's one of my favorite comedians. He's a very funny guy. He's a actor, host, and travel writer who has performed stand-up comedy all over the world. His new album, The Honky Motherland, is available now on Spotify for free. Please welcome the man himself, my friend Tom Rhodes. Tom, how you doing, man? How's everything going?
Yeah, you can also pay for the album on iTunes, but it is on
There you go. No, I think it's cool that
I blasted it out when I announced it. I said, hey, you can listen to it for free on Spotify, because I know a lot of people are having a hard time now. A lot of people are broke. A lot of people are just going through a lot of difficulties and could use a laugh. So
yes, indeed.
By all means, listen to it for free on Spotify.
Yeah, or buy it on iTunes and help support stand-up comedy and support Tom Rhodes, the very funny man himself. Who now you are a well-traveled guy. You've been all over the world, performed comedy all over the world, which is an amazing thing. But now with this pandemic, I assume that's halted your travel. And how has that affected you? Because you were pretty much on the road full time for years and years, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the road for 35 years, but I've been doing the international circuits for 20 years.
I've been playing in Ireland once a year for the last 20 years. There's a lot more homeless people now in Ireland than there used to be. It amazes me that you would ever see any homeless people ever in Ireland, considering that with Ryanair, the discount airline, it only costs like 17 euros to fly to Spain. So when I'm in Dublin and I'm walking down Grafton Street and some dude goes, "Can I have some money for a room tonight?" I go, "Fuck a room, you're going to Spain, bitch."
And I have not been on stage since March 8th. All my gigs for the rest of the year got canceled. And yeah, a lot of the places that I've earned my living at for the last 35 years, I'm wondering even if a lot of them are still going to exist when the world goes back to normal breathing conditions.
Yeah, it's been obviously it's taken a heavy toll on the world, this pandemic, but like if you just narrow it down to the comedy world, it's really hurt a lot of people, a lot of comedians, a lot of clubs. I mean, Dangerfield's here in New York City just closed down.
Entertainment hubs are critical to the city's economy, but the same week, Rodney Dangerfield's namesake comedy club announces closing for good. Many other venues remain shuttered.
The independent venues and promoters generally don't have ancillary income streams, so their income is tied towards people being in the room.
Yeah, I heard that in Cap City Comedy Club in Austin closed. It's who knows who's going to still be standing. I think a lot of the independent clubs are going to be in trouble, and frankly, that's been my bread and butter. The independent clubs are the ones I love the most.
Yeah, and it is scary times, and like here in New York, they keeping the restaurants are open and stuff like that, but anything that's any ticketed entertainment is not allowed. So you can't have stand-up comedy shows, you can't have concerts or music. I just don't understand why you could still have restaurants open, but you can't have a comedy show. And
yeah, I've been talking to friends of mine in New York. I've been following what's been happening there. It seems kind of strange that there's these parking lot shows that are happening like Brooklyn and New Jersey and Connecticut and stuff, but right. New York City is not. The best clubs aren't allowed to do outdoor shows. It's kind of strange.
It's crazy, and I don't know why. And like you said, like there's places in Brooklyn where they're doing it on rooftops. There's parking lots. There's movie drive-in theaters. I mean, comedians are finding a way, and fans of comedy are finding a way. But as we get into wintertime here in New York, it's going to get a little rougher. But so have you had a chance to do any of those, or is that types of shows, or those don't interest you? Or
no, I'd love to. I haven't had the opportunity. First of all, let me just say that I have turned down every offer to perform on Zoom.
Right.
Telling jokes to the computer is not why I became a comedian. Sorry, my thing's shaking.
I don't know how to tell you guys this, but I've decided I want to be president. Yeah. That should scare the hell out of you. Remember that hairy dude we saw on MTV? Guess what? Drugs are legal.
I have not been on stage since March 8th, and I just got. I'm booked to do Brad Garrett's Comedy Club in Las Vegas at the MGM in December, and I just found out, like, December 11th through the 13th, and I just found out they're gonna be open, and it's just gonna be the weekend. So I have to headline, and I have to cover a lot of time, and I have not been on. I'm going to be rusty, to say the least.
What an exciting time to be alive. My God, technology is incredible now. A friend of mine has a new iPhone, and he's showing me on his iPhone, he's got pictures of his girlfriend. He's got close-ups of her cookie, and pictures of her blowing him, and I'm like, wow, you can do so many things with those. I've got to get a girlfriend.
I'm in Portland right now.
Right, yeah.
My girlfriend lives in Portland, and I'm visiting her. So I was in Portland right before the pandemic hit, performing.
Hello, Portland. All right, that's a crowd on fire. You can tell when it's going to be magic. All right, Portland. All right, you guys kind of dressed up. I appreciate that. Fucking Portland, everybody looks like a lumberjack here, man.
And then my mother was visiting me in Los Angeles, and when the pandemic hit, and so we decided she should stay with me. She lives in Florida, so I spent 4 months looking after my 81-year-old mother. I cooked 3 meals a day. You know, the first month we didn't leave the apartment. I would go out once a week for food. You know, we didn't know what the hell was out there.
Yeah, it was scary times.
And,
yeah.
I was basically trying to keep my mom alive. And then the second month we started going for walks every day, playing Scrabble every day. And I learned that I have a lot of responsibilities to my mother as her son, but letting her win at Scrabble is not one of them. And I crushed that woman. So yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That's where you draw the line, is at Scrabble.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Oh, I lived through the riots with my mom too.
Yeah. Oh, so your mom was there? I was gonna get I
yeah.
wanted to ask you about the riots and over there.
We went to the protest together.
Really? Yeah. You and your mom went to? Yeah.
It was the protest that started the riots was in the park across the street from my house.
Wow.
And my mom, like anyone, was upset. I was upset about, George Floyd's murder. And I was surprised that my mom said, yeah, let's go. Because, and my mom told me her idea of people who protest are people who just want to tear shit up, cause trouble, and loot. And
right.
I told my mom, this is California. People are mellow here. And 2 hours. Oh, and then a lot of people started coming to the protest.
Right.
And I was worried about COVID. So
yeah.
A lot of people were coming because we were in the back. We're watching the protest that people were speaking and stuff. And a lot of people had signs. And then once a lot of people started coming, I said, Mom, let's get out of here, because I was worried about the virus.
Right.
So probably 2 hours and 6 minutes after I told my mom this is California and people are mellow, my entire neighborhood was on fire.
The protests turned violent as police vehicles were set on fire near Pan Pacific Park in the Fairfax district. The crowd fled the flames as thick smoke surrounded the vehicle.
And cops were battling people in the street. And there were helicopters overhead for a week, and it was nuts. And and literally my neighborhood, I live in the Fairfax district, and that's where all the looting and fires and everything was happening,
So it must have been terrifying with your mom. Not only you're worrying about COVID, but now there's fires, there's violence erupting. You don't know what's gonna happen next, if you're gonna get you know, if somebody throws a rock for somebody else, if it can hit you or your mom, like I've never been in that situation. What's it like?
It was nuts. You know, because you could hear the cops shooting rubber bullets all day, and
Right.
so you know, and I mean, and you know, the cops were ready for battle, and it was just like pop, pop, pop of rubber bullets all day, and literally, Don, we were running we kept running back and forth from my balcony to the television to see what was happening, and like helicopters
Right.
are
Right.
overhead, and I
Wow.
could say, "Oh my God, that's my Trader Joe's." They were like, you know,
Oh, damn.
they were like battling the cops right at Third and Fairfax and Beverly, and this is I live on this block, and
So
it was
you
all.
look right out your balcony and it's happening. It's right there.
I could see thousands of people on Beverly Boulevard, and the cops, you know, going out and shooting people with rubber bullets. It was nuts.
Wow, man, that's crazy that
Pretty exciting.
yeah, it has to be like exciting and exhilarating and like and the fear, you know, the fear and the adrenaline must have been through the roof, and then you know the protector in you to protect your mom, you know, especially you know she's in her 80s, early 80s, you know, and there's so many things in today's world that could harm her, from the you know the damn virus all the way to everything, man.
Yeah.
Damn. So that is that obviously the riots subsided over there, and how
Well,
long
yeah,
were
yeah,
they out?
the nice thing that the very next day we walked around the neighborhood to see what damage was done, and all these people in the neighborhood. Actually, the day after the riots, was very beautiful. All these people in the neighborhood came out with brooms and dust bins and paint remover, and people were like removing the you know the paint, spray paint and stuff, and sweeping up the streets. It was really the next day was beautiful. You didn't hear about that too much.
Yeah, that's when you see humanity at its finest,
Yeah.
when everyone comes together. And I've seen video. In fact, I put together a video. We had a guy a couple months ago played "Lean on Me," and I put a montage of people cleaning up the riots with that.
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Lean on me for won't be long, and I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
But yeah, so I know what you mean. But to be a part of that is because I'm out on Long Island. I'm about an hour drive from the city, from New York City. I haven't gone into the city since March either, and
Yeah.
you know, so I wasn't. There's always a part of me that wants to go and be a part of these things, but then I'm like, ah, man, you know, I might be better off not going. But man, the excitement just seems to follow you, Tom. You live an exciting life, man.
Yeah, my mom and we've done a lot of things together too in my lifetime. You know, I took her to Argentina. My mom's from Buenos Aires. She hadn't been back in 40 years. I lived in Amsterdam. She visited me there. I took her to Israel last year.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, my mom's a huge religious woman, so for her to walk where Jesus did his best work was a big thrill for her.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty awesome.
it's kind of interesting, all the things that I've done with my mom, and then we're living through the virus and then riots, and it's you know.
You definitely raised the bar on being a good son. We all got to try to match your level of the things you've done with your mom. That's pretty awesome, and pretty amazing.
And then you know, and then thanks, Dunn, and then coming up to Portland, you know, it was nice to see my girlfriend, and and then the fires were nuts here. The sky was black and brown and orange, and the sky was not supposed to be black and brown and orange. And I was taking drives around Oregon. I thought, I think the best thing you can do right now for your brain is to go into nature, or go sit by a large body of water, or lake, or anything.
Yeah, right.
And then so we were taking nice drives around Oregon, and we went to this John Day fossil beds area. This is in the middle of the state, and it was like the sky was weird, and it was all smoky. And then we drove back to Portland, and then the next day the sky turned black and orange and brown, and then we hit the road. So we were driving. This is when the fires were really bad. So we drove back to my place in LA, and from between Portland and Eugene, which I don't know what, I think it's like 184 miles, something like that. I was white knuckling it. The smoke was so bad we wore masks in the car.
Damn.
Until we got past Eugene. And you could see towns in the south of Oregon that were just, you driving by on the highway, it was just black ash, burned out, smoldering. And then how like your phone will do like Amber Alerts sometimes?
Yeah.
While I'm driving, the phone's going off, and it was evacuation warnings.
Holy
people in Clackamas County, have your belongings ready.
Wow, man.
So like, this has been a hell of a year.
Years.
Lived through the riots, lived through fires.
You've seen it all, and yet you have a very positive outlook on things. I mean, most people would be like, I think it's the end of the world.
I do not see Donald Trump becoming our next president. I don't see our country electing an orange leader. But he could snatch the election if he changed his slogan to "Orange is the new black."
I mean, you've gone like head first into a lot of these, the craziness of this year. You faced it all. You faced the riots. You faced the COVID. You faced the fires. I mean,
here's another thing. Yesterday I went downtown Portland just to go to the grocery store, and driving back, I drove under an overpass, and there were about 50 or 75 Proud Boys with American flags, and they had put up the Proud Boys PB flags on the fence on the overpass. So I guess they're standing by. I got to see the Proud Boy yesterday. They're
damn.
This is what else could happen this year? Chinese invasion, Russian invasion.
Anything is possible. They've already said they found like spacecraft from alien, spacecraft on the Earth. So
I think when the clock strikes on December 31st to go into January 1st, everyone alive is just gonna go.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy New Year's, good enough. All your wishes of happiness. Happy New Year's, good enough. All your wishes of happiness.
It's been a crazy year, man. But and like you said, we all are going through it in our own way, but like we're not all, head first in it like you are. You're like what is an apocalyptical like Forrest Gump. You're just like getting into all of the craziness.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
She is not a stupid woman. She makes everybody else do her dirty work.
In these trying times, Pepsi is here for you. What the fuck?
You've been like all over the world, and when I talk to people and I tell them about you, I'm like, he's been performs all over the world. And I say, and not just like the European countries. Like you've been to some, you've been to Asia with the comedy, and some parts of the world where you wouldn't think there is stand up.
I just spent a month in Asia, and the knowledge nugget I have brought back for you from Asia is that the most beautiful women in the world are Thai men.
Yeah, like I played all over Asia. You know, there used to be great gigs in China, in Shanghai and Hong Kong and Beijing, and I don't think those exist anymore. I think those are done.
Yeah, I would think.
Even before the pandemic, I think they clamped down on these kind of English comedy shows that were happening over there. But there was some really cool gigs.
I'm really excited to be here, man, because, I got to thank everybody in China, man, because China makes all the cool toys and shit. Every cool toy I ever had in my life said made in China on it, man. What a fucking magical place,
There's a great comedy club in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. And I've been there twice. And Mongolia is great.
No, they're alive. No. Just slide one off.
That's amazing.
It actually tastes pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Tommy Rhodes.
Actually, that's not bad.
It's pretty good.
Actually, not bad at all.
People are beautiful. They look like the people from Avatar, but without the blue.
Right.
Really high cheekbones, just really beautiful people.
Дөнгөж хөдөөнөөс орж ирэнгүүтээ зөөгч хийж байгаа банд нар бас яг ялгаагүй те. Яг газ минийг өгч гингүүд.
How do you find out about the comedy scene in Mongolia? Like how do you discover these different comedy communities around the world?
They reached out to me. Actually, no, I had a friend that did it. And apparently he was the first foreigner to go there. But there's a proper little comedy club. They call Ulaanbaatar UB City, so it's UB Comedy Club is the name of the place. And it's a great little local scene there. Wonderful guys. Zolo, Bata, couple of dudes. And give them a name drop. But they were like, next time you come to China, would you come up? They didn't have tons of money. I did it for the experience.
Yeah.
But the last time I was in China, they flew me up from Beijing. That was like 2 or 3 years ago.
We're at the Great Wall of China, and I've come here for one reason. And that's to take pictures of my Elvis doll. All right. Try and get culture into me. It's impossible. Hey, we can get fried rice down here, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
What I think is cool, too, is when you go to, even in America, you go to different states, right? There's different types of humor that the home audience likes, and then there's faux pas and cultural things. So, like when you play a place like Mongolia versus playing England, you have to have completely different sets, I would think. Or is there a certain way to appeal to all the audiences with your style?
Well, I always I get really into studying about places before I go there. Like I read Genghis Khan's biography before I went there, and
nice.
They love when anybody learns anything about their country. My last album that I came out with last year was called Around the World.
Yes, great album.
And I recorded it in 24 cities around the world. It starts in Paris, ends in Jerusalem, and there's two tracks from Ulaanbaatar on there. And I opened with I heard that everyone in the world is somehow related to Genghis Khan. So I'm just here to visit family. Hello, cousins. And then the next line I think was I read Genghis Khan's biography, and under the rule of Genghis Khan, they never held any individual responsible for a mistake or an error. It was the community's fault as a whole. So if this show doesn't go well tonight, it's all of our fault. You know?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, and then the new album I just came out with, it's called The Honky Motherland. And last year I got to do this great theater tour all over England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. So the Honky Motherland is 29 tracks from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales.
I don't speak much Dutch, but my favorite thing to say in Dutch is Roken is doodalookie. I don't know what the fuck a doodalookie is, but I want to quit before I get a doodalook head.
That's what I do love about your comedy too, is that you are, obviously well traveled, you're well read, you're smart, you research all these things. It's got to make you a stronger comedian.
Well, one of my favorite things whenever I normally headline, so I'm normally doing like 45 minutes to an hour, and my favorite part of the show, I mean, this is pre-pandemic, this is the old days. My favorite part of the show was asking if there was someone from another country in the audience, because I've got a story or a joke about almost everywhere. And I occasionally would get stumped on a Lithuania or Kazakhstan or something, but for the most part, I've been a lot of places, and I have my own personal stories.
You ever been to Mexico? All the men pictured on the money all look pissed off. They all got this look on their face like it's hot and our money isn't worth very much.
Everybody loves a good dick joke. So, I mean, some guy going on before me crushing it with dirty stuff is always a factor. But, when I was younger, I liked being dirty, and I still enjoy dirty jokes and stuff. But as I'm getting older, I'm trying to be, I want to do the smartest material I can,
All right, let's talk about something less controversial than politics, huh? Gun control, ladies and gentlemen. I think if a mass shooter does it for fame and notoriety, it should be illegal for the press and the media ever to say or print a mass shooter's name. They should only ever refer to that person as that human turd.
And I'm more concerned with my legacy as I get older, and like putting out these albums. I'm glad, and especially now that no one can travel. I mean, like, a lot of people can't travel. Listen to Around the World.
Yep.
And I've got jokes and stories and my own personal experience in these places on that album. And then now I've got The Honky Motherland, which is England, Ireland, and Scotland, and Wales. I'm really glad that I did that, because, for years I was trying to make a comedy travel show where I would be like the Anthony Bourdain of comedy.
Hi, I'm Tom Rhodes. My favorite thing about being a comedian is to be able to go to different countries all over the world and be able to kill an audience with laughter.
And you were one of my biggest supporters.
Yeah.
And we talked about doing something together. And that's, how you and I initially bonded. Yeah. And I will love you forever for that.
Same here. And I still think, yeah, I mean, we got to get past the pandemic, but I still think that show, that whole idea behind it has legs. And I think you would be an amazing host, and you're the creator of it. And I just think it would be awesome to see that, because as a fan of stand-up comedy, I would love to see a little behind the scenes in like, China, you dealing with the Chinese audiences, or even the booker, however, and then see a little bit of the performance. But I think there's so much that goes into it. And then also you could tell, about where we are, and some of the stuff that the knowledge that you have about the club, how to approach comedy without insulting this particular, community of people. So, I think there's a lot of cool stuff that could go on with that show. So I'm hoping.
Well, that's my dream, to make that show. I mean, after this pandemic passes, I mean, that show might be like seeing what's left of comedy in the world.
Yeah, man.
Welcome to Hanoi. Probably the noisiest city on the planet Earth.
Tom, I can't thank you enough for taking the time, man. I know you're busy, and I really appreciate it.
I love you, Don, and I just had something pop into my head. I don't do many impressions, but I do one impression of Red Fox's ghost.
All right. All right.
Ready?
Yes, this is great.
Boo, dummy. Only someone who grew up with Sanford and Son.
Yes, that was great. Man, you're the best, Tom. I appreciate it. Again, tell everybody where they could get more information on you and where they can get these two great albums that you got out there around the world and the honky motherland.
TomRhodes.net is my website. I'm on Instagram at _Tom Rhodes. I don't bother with Twitter too much. It's the hate faucet. You can find my album on iTunes or Spotify, all of my albums. And if you and please, if you're stuck somewhere and you want a flavor of the world, listen to Around the World, listen to the Honky Motherland. And I'm really glad that I did those albums. Now that who knows when people will be able to travel again.
Yeah, let's hope sooner than later, man. And let's pray that this pandemic, that they get I know they're working on cures for it, and no matter which side of the fence comes up with the cure, let's hope it's a good one and could and get us through this. So, but Tom, thanks again. I appreciate it. Tom Rhodes, ladies and gentlemen.
I love you, Don. It's great to see you, brother. I look forward to seeing you in person once we're able.
Yes, indeed, man. I love you too, brother.
Respect.
Take care, my friend.